Today, Rio Tinto is the third largest mining company in the world, with operations on 5 continents and headquarters in the United Kingdom and Australia. The company recorded profits of over $20 billion in 2010 and 2011. In the 1990s, Rio Tinto ran a successful campaign to de-unionize the metal mines and smelters in Australia. Bob Hawke, former Australian Prime Minister, stated that Rio Tinto's philosophy is that they want to see the trade unions out of their operation. In 2007, Rio Tinto made the largest acquisition in its history. It purchased Montreal-based Alcan, one of Canada's most important companies, for $38 billion. The purchase included parts of the Saguenay Riverbed and 6 hydroelectrical power stations. The deal was approved on the basis that it provided a net benefit to Canada. Just 4 years later, on New Year's Eve 2011, Rio Tinto locked out 780 members of USW Métallurgie Local 9490 at its profitable aluminum smelter in Alma, Quebec.
When someone gets retired, the company is replacing him by subcontracting, whom have the half of the wages. We're not asking for better wages or other benefits. We're not asking for better pension plans. No, what we want is to protect the good jobs for the future generation. This is the main issue.
We have a responsibility to give just as good of a chance to our kids, our neighbors' kids, and our community than what we had.
Pour les générations à venir, pour nos fils, pour nos filles, pour nos enfants, pour la communauté, je vais vous dire en affaires, c'est toute qu'une belle bataille que vous êtes en train de mener là. Moi, je peux vous dire que votre conflit, il va se rendre à la grandeur du Québec. Il va se rendre à la grandeur du Canada. Il va aller à la grandeur de l'Amérique du Nord et il va aller sur la planète. Pourquoi? Ce matin, j'étais en appel-conférence avec le président international de notre syndicat. Et l'annonce que je vous fais aujourd'hui, on a décidé comme syndicat, à ma demande, de faire une campagne globale sur la planète contre Rio Tinto.
What really drove the campaign was the resolution of our members in Quebec, and unions all over the globe responded. The Mining and Maritime Initiative played a crucial role. The initiative was formed almost a decade ago by steelworkers and unions in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and Canada to become a rapid global response team, and it worked. In just a few weeks, we were sending delegations to all of these countries and preparing for larger demonstrations. In 2010, the initiative played a crucial role in ending another lockout by Rio Tinto of 570 members of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union in Boron, California, and it was successful there as well.
While the union's leadership was building support around the world, allies traveled to Alma to show their solidarity with the locked-out Rio Tinto workers.
Almost 800 steelworkers who have been locked out by Rio Tinto up there.
They worked with something called beryllium. They weren't even allowed to decontaminate before the security guards tossed them out. And they've been out, just like the electromotive people were kicked out New Year's Eve.
Qui sommes-nous? Métallurgie! Qui sommes-nous? Métallurgie!
Hi, welcome! Have a nice trip! Métallurgie!
I want to bring our solidarity and our greetings from 14,000 steelworkers in the Toronto area. We are fighting, and we are fighting hard. but we understand that solidarity between English Canadians and Quebecois is critical to any victory that we are to have.
Est-ce une joke s'il pensait qu'il s'attaquait à 780 personnes? Il s'est trompé. On était supposé seulement être 30. Maintenant, on est partout. On a des appuis partout. Il va nous écouter. Ça fait 2 ans qu'il ne nous écoute pas. Il était 3 mois à table, à se cacher. Ben là, il va entendre. Parce que là, on parle fort, on parle de partout. Puis on a des appuis qui grandissent de plus en plus. Seulement que ça marche. Il va voir que la solidarité, ça fait la job.
In Quebec, the cause of the Alma workers generated even more media attention and public support when it was discovered that Rio Tinto benefited from a secret deal. The contract, made with the Charest Liberal government, forced Hydro-Quebec to buy millions of dollars worth of excess power from the company during the lockout.
Imagine, during the lockout, it was decided by the company, before the end of the collective agreement, our government, and Hydro-Quebec belongs to every Quebecer, our government has to buy more than $10 million per month of electricity, which we don't need. This is a real shame, a real shame. It's a bad contract, and we're living in days where big corporations are stronger than governments.
The enormous mobilization efforts done throughout Quebec and Canada and around the world were made evident on March 31st, 2012, when 8,000 people rallied in Alma.
Brothers and sisters, it's an honor to be here as the National Director for Canada, to be among so many colleagues, not just colleagues from Canada, not just our brothers and sisters from here in Quebec, but from workers and trade union leaders from around the world that are bringing you a message of solidarity. You are in the front lines in regards to corporate greed. You are the ones that are taking a stand to make sure that you stand up for the workers. You're taking the stand and making sure that you stand up for the communities, and you're also making a stand to make sure that we're here for the next generation. You should be complimented for your solidarity, your vision, and I can assure you that on behalf of the labor movement, the steel workers, with our International Executive Board, our President Leo Gerard, we're going to fight with you every day. We're going to be there right through to the end, that you're going to have some decency, you're going to have some respect, that Rio Tinto is going to come back here, make them negotiate a collective agreement that's decent and that's fair and that's going to respect. That's going to respect Quebec, that's going to respect the natural resources. It does not belong to them. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. Solidarity for all of us.
We understand here that if there's not a win here for these workers, then who's going to be the next to be picked on by Rio Tinto? Their struggle today is our struggle tomorrow, and we clearly understand what Rio Tinto is up to. They could be a good corporate citizen. They could be a good citizen of Alma, but they choose not to be, and there's no chance now to do anything else but fight. We're not going to let these people down. There's international solidarity growing around the world as we speak, and we'll be making sure all of these messages go back to Australia and around the world so people know exactly what Rio Tinto is up to here.
We're all being attacked. Labor is being attacked, and we have to understand that unless we stand together, unite, that they're going to come against us no matter what. We are behind you 100%. We have a large turnout that's supporting you, and we will win this fight.
They are here because of their families. That is why, as an international community, working class, we realize it's important to give them support and tell them that they are not alone. We are there for them.
Companies like Rio Tinto have a global strategy attacking workers, and it must be confronted by global trade union and worker solidarity. We will make sure that the Olympic Committee hears that there is blood in the gold medals, in all the medals that will be distributed during the Olympic Games in London, as long as Rio Tinto does not make sure it shows a better face to workers.
Rio Tinto was the supplier of the metal for the Olympic medals at the London Games, and we developed the Off the Podium campaign to take Rio Tinto off the Olympic podium for violations of Olympic principles of fair play and fellowship.
I think it's important that every aspect of those games, especially the magnificent and moving ceremonies of excellence and success, be consistent with the highest standards of international behavior.
And where we were able to help was that we mobilized our members of our National Sector Committee for the Metals and Steel Industry to take part in a demonstration outside Rio Tinto's annual general meeting in Westminster in London. And of course the colleagues from the steelworkers were actually involved in the annual general meeting, were able to raise questions and criticize the directors of the company.
In response to Guy's question, which very clearly put was, we are ready to sit down with the union and negotiate. And that is the fundamental demand which we are putting forward. We've got to make sure that Rio Tinto put their money where their mouth is, and they don't just talk about it, but they enter into negotiations with the USW as quickly as possible. He said that in front of the entire shareholders meeting here in London, and we are going to hold him to his word.
Solidarity! They want your support to be able to tell this mob in here, Albanese and his cohort, to act fairly.
We're going to ask a few questions to Mr. Albanese to ask him if he is ready to come back to the bargaining table and get a fair contract for both of us and Rio Tinto.
And part of this protest is designed to get the Olympic movement to distance itself from Rio Tinto.
We urge the International Olympic Committee to demand that Rio Tinto ends its attacks on workers and the environment, starting with the lockout in Canada, or tell Rio Tinto to get off the podium now.
Rio Tinto! Rio Tinto! Rio Tinto!
The Off the Podium campaign allowed us to put pressure on Rio Tinto internationally. Unions in over 30 countries participated. They lobbied their national Olympic committees to get Rio Tinto off the podium. We were leafleting the pre-Olympic soccer game at Rio Tinto Stadium with our members from Local 392 in Utah, who represented the workers at Rio Tinto mine, when we received word that a tentative agreement was reached. All major concessions were dropped, and it was a great and complete victory.
We were able to help, and I'm very proud to say that we got a settlement, the United Steelworkers got a settlement, and we make it absolutely clear. Those members at Alma in Quebec were members of Workers Uniting, so they were our members, so it was important to unite the U1 as well.
To see all those people from different culture, different country, support my sisters and brothers in Alma. I can't imagine a global winning without global solidarity.